Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. You're listening to Spiritual Freak Show, and I'm here with my friend Suzanne. This is our third annual Halloween episode. Suzanne's been on our podcast, the last iteration, Angel Face Magic Hour, several times. So some of you guys might know her, but for those who don't know Suzanne, she's an amazing healer and medium. Right before we got on the call, I felt like I was being choked by spirit. So there might be some messages coming in tonight, but we're going to do some spiritual healing work here tonight. We're going to do some reading. Suzanne's going to tell us some interesting stories. But briefly, before we start, I'll just have you introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Suzanne. I am a Karuna Reiki master and an animal Reiki master. And I am working a lot right now at a regular person's job. So I'm really happy to be here to mix things up a little bit.
Yes.
I'm excited to use some of these tools. I haven't really done a lot lately, but I was practicing this weekend. And it's nice to be back. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. I think Suzanne definitely embodies the new title of the podcast, Spiritual Freak Show. I think you can definitely get down with it. So we're gonna see who wants to come in tonight. We have some different kind of divination tools that are probably something that people haven't seen before. If you listen to our previous Halloween special, you might have seen one of the boards, but we're gonna share with you and then yeah, see who else wants to come in. But before we start, we're just gonna kind of open up the space. So if anyone is listening, you're also welcome to invite in spirits, energies to connect with you. And this is just a space for us to hold that vibration of healing energy because, Suzanne and I've probably talked about this many times, but it's like a party. You want to have like an invite list. You want to let people know, okay, this is who's coming. You're not just going to have any spirits, any energies welcome in your space. So we just want to create that boundary of energy.
Not an
So,
open house.
yeah, we are open to loved ones, energies, high vibrational spirits who want to connect and be known and share messages with our listeners. So let's get this Halloween party started. But so yeah, Suzanne, so will you share with us? We're gonna start with a collective reading and share with us a little bit about the board that we're gonna look at.
So I have a Doreen Virtue angel board that I literally cracked open a couple days ago. I've had it for a few years now. I think I bought it on eBay during COVID. They're really hard to find. It's kind of like I thought it would be more like a Ouija board, but it's kind of more like a game board with different pathways. And on the pathways, each pathway is represented by an archangel. And then the words on the pathways are representative of what that archangel represents. For example, life purpose is represented by Archangel Michael, and then all the words there. So each word has like an oracle definition, which I can read when we do it. So it's kind of like you roll dice. Here, I'll show you.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm excited. It is like almost like a game board.
Yeah, yeah. So I can start with that for the collective. So
Maybe we should put some kind of parameter around it. Like this is a message for the next few months or something. So it's not
okay, well, yeah.
maybe to specify.
So let's choose one of the pathways. So there's home, romance, money, career, life purpose, children, friends and family, health, spiritual path, psychic development, yes or no, when will it happen? Anything pop to you?
I think for our listeners and for the two of us, I feel like we should, maybe we'll do two. Well, let's see how
We can
long
do
one
two. You can
takes
do.
because we have other things to share with us tonight.
Right.
But I think we should do the psychic development.
Okay.
I don't know if spirits telling you otherwise, you can listen to them and not me, but
No, I'm
that's what I
definitely
think.
drawn towards that or spiritual path for
That's
sure.
what those were the two I was thinking of.
Oh,
Because
good.
I think with the all of you guys listening, this is kind of why you're here is to gain that more insight around your own spiritual path. So I think, and mediumship and psychic development, we've been talking a lot about. So I think that would be a great way to gain a little insight.
Okay. So psychic development is represented by Archangel Raziel and Haniel, like Daniel with an H.
Okay.
Um, so what you do is you take these lovely crystal dice and you try to connect with these angels, which I'll do, and ask your question before you roll it. So what do you think you'd like to ask for the collective?
Maybe Spirit, give me the question. I think like how to further open your spiritual gifts.
Okay.
Does that make sense as a question
Yeah.
for like in the context?
This is the question for the collective listening.
Yeah. How to further, yeah, open or access their spiritual gifts. No whammies.
Okay. So it's 7.
Ooh,
This
good
guy,
number.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Dreams.
Ooh, okay. And we could definitely interpret that as, I mean, you're going to read it for us, but our literal dreams, like writing things down, paying attention, but then also going towards your own, dreams and goals.
Your dreams are especially revealing at this time, and they contain clues to hidden desires and messages that you need to understand. Before you go to sleep, ask your angels and unconscious to help you remember your dreams upon awakening. Keep a pad of paper and pen near your bed. When you awaken, write down whatever you can remember about your dreams. Notice the common themes among your dreams as you awaken your natural psychic abilities. That's advice I've heard forever, and I've never done it.
I have done it on and off, but something I have done regularly, but I don't always actually listen to it, is I'll record myself talking about my dream in the morning because sometimes it's hard to capture the memories that quickly
Mhm.
while I'm writing and I'm like
Yeah.
already gone out of it. So sometimes I'll record myself, but do I go back and always listen to those? No, not really. But I will always try, but maybe that's a message for both of us too. Also,
Yes.
something people can get really involved in deeper shamanic work with their dreams, like journeying and lucid dreaming and things like that, but you're not able to like do those things unless you start with the small stuff. But you can also meet other people in dreams, so maybe I'm just getting the message like maybe there's someone out there who has a friend that wants to practice this with them, who wants to be like, okay, tonight we're gonna connect, like be like in a dream we're going to connect in a rose garden or something very specific like that, and see if you can do that. Like things like that are very possible. It's just practice, 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 practice.
Like I had that little nap I told you about, 20 minutes. I fell asleep and I literally remember being somewhere else
Yeah,
interacting. But then I
we
opened my,
can, it's like parallel universes
yeah,
almost.
I was almost conscious of it. And then as soon as I woke up, I can't even tell you what happened. It's really weird. You want to do another one?
Yeah, let's do the spiritual path as well. And for those who are listening, because I know a lot of people listen on Spotify and Apple and stuff, if you want the visual of this, I'm going to be posting this on YouTube. So there will be links in the show notes if you're listening to audio and you want to get it peek of what this board looks like. It's very beautiful. So circular, pretty colors. But
There's
yeah,
a couple on eBay, right?
go watch the YouTube if you want the visuals.
There's a couple on eBay right now for like $30, which is a deal. I think I paid
Oh,
100 for
really? Oh, damn.
unopened. This wasn't open.
Was this like post or pre Doreen Virtue's uh New Age to Jesus experience?
This was post.
Okay, that's probably why they're more expensive. They're like
There's
rare.
some, like, I was surprised how inexpensive they were right now. So spiritual path is Archangel Uriel.
Mm. And that's yellow, right?
It is yellow.
That's how that feels right to me. That color being Archangel
Yeah.
Uriel.
So what do you think you want to ask?
For the spiritual path, um, maybe something like what should our listeners, what should the collective of us like devote more time to? What do we get?
5.
5. Change.
Gratitude.
Okay. Devoting more time to gratitude, paying
That's
attention to the
so,
little things.
so important.
Wow, I like that.
Gratitude. You're able to shift your relationships with people and your spirituality by simply focusing on your blessings. This is a message for you to stop a habit of complaining or blaming and shift to a new, healthier habit of gratitude. This means learning to see the divine within everyone and everything, including yourself. Trust that everyone's doing the best they can and have compassion for others. Your newfound gratitude automatically heals and adjusts your relationships and other areas of your life. Gratitude is a powerful magnet that attracts loving people and wonderful opportunities. Gratitude increases the power and size of your heart chakra, leading to wellness and peace. Daily, upon awakening and falling asleep, think of everything and everyone for which you are grateful.
Hmm. Beautiful. Well, I think those are the kinds of things that are like so easy to just like not do. It's like, do I care to be grateful? But like that really is the frequency. Like when we feel that love and like respect and, you know, we're aware of the spirituality within like all things, then we truly can be grateful for things that don't always seem positive at first.
Yeah, I've been doing this meditation that I got from a shaman course I took. I took it during COVID, and it popped up. They gave you like a free, when you signed up just to get emails, they gave you this free meditation. And her name is Jan Engel Smith. She runs a shaman, it's like accredited shaman school. It's one of the only ones in the States. It was wonderful. She's wonderful. So I do this, I've been doing it. You do it for 21 days when you first get it, but I did it over the summer for like 2 months straight. And one of the things that she has you work on is gratitude. And what it does is you literally pull your consciousness out of your body through imagery into this portal, and then you release yourself out to
Mm.
the universe, and you get to see how huge you are. And she'll say, I want you to feel gratitude. And she'll give you all these words to feel. And, it really made me think about just, with all this healing we're doing from our childhood PTSD and all that, and clearing all this stuff out. What I realized was I never really felt the words I was supposed to feel because I had emotionally unavailable mother. So happiness was not a feeling, it was an
An
event.
idea.
Yeah, it was something. It was always a physical thing. It wasn't a feeling. So when I do this meditation and she's like, I want you to feel gratitude. In our last couple of years and some of the work I did, like when I worked at the spa, I had somebody that used to come in the spa who was super, super successful. His family owned a Chinese restaurant in Boston that he took and made this huge Chinese restaurant out of. Really, really popular, wonderful guy. And I always said, I really feel like he's so successful because he has so much gratitude. He'd come in and give you $5 for handing him a robe and sandals. Like he just was always so gracious to everyone. Um, and then when I started up doing these meditations again and feeling that gratitude, because she says, if you have to think of a situation that would make you feel that, and I remember his name was Frank, feeling gratitude to Frank when he would come in was that thoughtful to us checking him in. Because when you give what you get as well. So I had automatic gratitude back to him. And then what was the other one? It was gratitude. And then, shoot, I'll think of it in a minute, but it went with gratitude. And, it's the words that you really need to feel them. And as you do heal and you do clear, you can feel them. And that when you feel them, that's the vibration that you put out there. Because when I didn't feel it,
Yeah.
I wasn't putting out the vibration. But I
No,
definitely
it's true.
have seen a big change in like my surroundings, I should say, and what I'm attracting for sure.
Yeah, and I think like when we're yeah, when we're not used to a feeling too, it can be difficult. Like you said, like if we're disconnected. I remember like when I first started getting into healing, like the idea of the word peace was like disgusting to me. Like I was like, oh, I don't even know what that means. I can't even imagine that. And like I think it takes a while sometimes for your system to understand it. So that's why something like that's helpful, a meditation, because you're creating that vibration again and again. You get more used to it. And like you say, it's drawing that energy into you. So there's more experiences that you can experience to
Yeah.
stack that up so that your body recognizes, oh, I have things to be grateful for. And it's like, yeah, that reprogramming,
And then when you're
rewiring type of thing.
yeah, and then it comes naturally. It becomes like just an innate part of you, and you don't have to think about gratitude to show it or feel it. The other word was appreciation. She would give
Oh,
you gratitude as the first word, and then she'd like feel appreciation. And she would, if you have to think of a situation, and I think about the people, like when at the restaurant I work in, sometimes people will tip me for getting them a reservation or, regulars that say, here, Suzanne, thank you so much. And like they're showing me appreciation. And then I'm like, oh, that's so nice. And then I have appreciation and it goes around and around. It's good.
it's a cycle that
Yeah.
we want, a good cycle,
Yeah. So
replacing it.
gratitude is really important.
Yes. So for those listening, it's those little moments. So trying to create space. And I think, if we are trying to spend time in the morning remembering your dreams, it's like that gratitude can also be part of that. So it's like maybe an exercise that we can all do.
Well, and as Reiki masters, like the first thing I do before I go to bed is I do my, um, what are they called?
The
Because I don't
Reiki precepts.
precepts. I don't call them
Good.
precepts. I just call them my daily. I call them my dailies.
Yeah.
For today, I will
Just
not
for
worry.
today.
Just for today, I will not be angry. Just for today, I will honor my work. Just for today, I'll be kind to others. Just for today, I will have gratitude.
Yeah, I have my hanging right there
Good.
above
But
the
they're not
computer.
words, they're energy.
Ideal is energy. We embody that. and to be a Reiki master, which we both study Reiki, it's really just about devoting your life to that energy. So I think written within that is the continual gratitude for everything.
You
So
want
we're
to do one?
living embodiments. Sure.
What do you want to ask? Do you want to do something different? Do you want to do spiritual path again, or do you want to do like a yes or no, like a fun question?
Let's do a yes or no.
Okay. What's the
How
question?
about um well, how about we make this interactive and we'll just wait a moment people can think of their own question so they can get a yes or no
Okay, so we're
or
not
a
gonna.
question that you're wanting the answer to, and then get back to us on if that was true or not.
Okay, let's do that. All right.
I think that could be kind of fun. So thinking of a question that you want a yes or no answer to, if you could ask Spirit any question, a yes or no question, what will your question be? Just think about it in your mind, hold that energy to be true. And sometimes Spirit is not on the same timeline as you, so sometimes things show up later. So if things show up later, please let me know.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's go. Ask your question while I roll the dice. Number 4, by the way.
Oh,
2, 3. Oh, spirit. The answer is maybe.
maybe. God damn it. They were like, be more specific.
I really feel right now that spirit does not want us to know anything about anything. Very much so. That we need to just use our own intuition and um our own natural answers. Like listen to spirit within us. We're not getting answers on the outside. It's crazy. Like I'm not the only one. Are you feeling that?
I guess it just depends on the context. I think sometimes within a collective sense, there's a lot of energy to look at.
Hmm.
So I think sometimes it's like when it affects so many people, sometimes I feel like the message is obstructed because it's like some people that message would be helpful, and some people it's too much information.
All right. Yeah.
So I feel like sometimes it's harder to do a collective reading.
Yeah. Even like a couple years ago, some of the readings, like personally feel that your ego can like trick you into thinking things. So when you get information, say you go get your cards done from someone and they give you information, like I personally interpret that is what's gonna send me down that path, that rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's what it can be sometimes hard to do readings for yourself too because of that. It's like you can interpret things in any way.
Yeah, I don't do readings for myself anymore at all. Nope. But even again, like we're just not going to be given the answers. We're going to have to live through the answers. Swim through the shit to get to the answer.
I think sometimes we don't need to know everything at once.
No, but the ego wants to because we need to be prepared. And that's would be so nice to have the answer all the time so we wouldn't have to go into fight or flight state or need Reiki to get through a week. But it's the way it is. That's why we're here to learn, right? You don't learn if you know the answer. Someone gives you the answer, you're not going to learn.
I think sometimes the answer is also not the answer we want. So
Right.
we'll just we might be getting the message a million times over, we're not really listening to it because we're scared to receive it.
Yep. Or we want a different answer.
Yeah. And just in general, with the future, it's always changing, but I think to know everything ahead might, for a large amount of people, can be very fearful and unnecessary always. Obviously, I'm a psychic medium and people get readings with me, and I think that is a helpful tool. But I also think it's not for every single person. I don't
No,
think every single person can handle the energy of connecting with the other side.
no, I agree 100%. And it's funny, like
So,
different times of your life, it's easy to do those things, and then other times it's not. And right now I'm in a time where, I've been doing the Course in Miracles for very slowly for like the last 2 years. Not quite, I don't think I'm 2/3 through it. I don't move on to the next lesson until I know it's in my life and I'm living it. But one of the lessons I'm in right now is it's about surrendering, because when we put our energy into making something happen or putting up a block so something won't happen, we could be missing out on something really, really great if we just let spirit, the universe, do what they want for us. But we have so much fear. So I'm at a point where I have really no choice right now but to just go with it. So, and just trust the process.
and I think a lot of people are in that same boat right now, like collectively. It's a lot of changes in the last few years, just like societally, and you know, we're in an election year, there's a lot of chaos. Like everyone's stressed out, I think, too, in the last since COVID. Like, I don't think people have really recovered emotionally from that. That I feel like there are still lots of healing that needs to happen, but when we're in that healing phase, we don't always need to know what is next.
COVID is a really great example of what we're talking about, because remember being in lockdown? Oh, it'll be 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And so we were like, we had this, oh, all right, we just have to get through this period. And then we did. And then it was
And they
extended,
kept going and they kept going and
going,
kept
kept
going
going.
and
And like,
went
and we never knew. And then what happened, and during all that period, we were changing. Everything was changing.
Yeah.
That's like my grocery store is not the same store anymore. They've completely redone the whole thing. Like everything has changed.
Yeah.
But so slowly, and it integrated into where we are now. And like that's, even I look back like on myself personally in the last year, I thought something was going to happen, and here I am, and it didn't happen, but other things happened. And it's good to be open and not fearful and trusting the process for sure. So that
Yeah,
maybe,
and being open to change.
yeah, to whatever comes your way, because I just feel like when we, at least with me personally, when if you can't get out of your way, then you just might be missing an opportunity. And I can look back on my life and literally and see that I shouldn't have done that. Because also too, like you repeat cycles.
Yeah.
And
I've been there.
I'm moving through my second Saturn return right now. And it was almost identical to my first one. And I think that sometimes it's better to move through something instead of changing your forest. I got to change my forest. You change your forest, it's going to follow you no matter what you do. Like you have to move through the lessons. So just surrender. But so
Yeah, and it's so internal.
the maybe question, the maybe answer is just, of course, spirit is telling us maybe because we're not supposed to know.
And
And
I honestly feel like yes or no questions are very much like that. They don't always want us to know.
no, in the timeline, what's the other one? When will it happen? I used to be like dying to know when anything would happen. And like, there's no time. So
Yeah, and spirit works so differently. And like, I think that like as someone who does readings and stuff, I think that can be like a little like, oh, that hurts. Oh, that hurts. like to my ego because I'm like, okay, I want it to be like we gave this reading and then like a week later it happened. But like sometimes it's like literally like 5 years later and then like they're like, oh, that thing that girl talked about. Like not everyone's gonna have that realization, but I have had people come to me later and be like, this happened, but it's just we never know what the time's gonna be. Sometimes it is tomorrow, sometimes it's a week from now. And I think some psychics are gifted in that way where they could maybe give you the pinpoint exact time, but I think that's more rare and I think spirit doesn't always want to work that way. And
No.
a lot of it is our decision making. We can't, like you said, we can always make a decision and the opportunity we had, we missed that experience. But
But when
then
do
it
you
might
know?
have not been for us. Who knows?
Right. And but you don't know until after,
Yeah.
till you look back. And so it's, you know, I've had a lot of conversations with other card readers about reading cards. And, some card readers, I have this woman I used to go to, she's like 75 years old and she's really good. But a lot of the things I used to record the readings and I would go back and listen to them. I'll listen to one tomorrow that's 4 years old. I'll listen to one that's 2 years old and they're identical. She says the exact same thing. So it's not like she knows she's saying it because I think she's channeling. But I'm kind of like, what? And some of it didn't really happen. So I'm like, what is she talking about? She's still talking about it because it hasn't happened yet. So it got me to have a conversation with a fellow card reader, and I feel like the energy of the reader has a lot to do with the information you get. Because
Yeah.
like some of them read from a certain timeline.
Yeah. It's
That
what
makes
you
sense?
perspective
Yeah. And
and
they're all,
your interpretation.
yes. And then they have an interpretation, and then we interpret it as well. So it's just like, that's a lot of in your soup.
Yeah.
I feel like I like oracle cards. I don't know. I love getting a reading, but I think I love it too much sometimes.
Or
You know,
maybe your, yeah, anticipation.
expectations. Oh, I want to hear this. What's she gonna tell me? And then you hear something you never expected to hear, and you're like, what does that mean? You know? And they're all different the way they um read.
Yeah. And everyone like sees things differently too.
Yeah.
So like you say, you might be seeing something different than someone else. So that really, it does color the reading. But like, I think when the channel is clear, when we're really connect, mediumship might even be easier almost because
Hmm.
you're just getting the message
Definitely.
rather than just trying to interpret. I don't know what that means. I'm just telling you what they said. But
Right.
who's to say that it's accurate?
You don't know
I don't know.
until you know.
Yeah. For me, it's like a feeling,
Right.
but I think it's harder to predict like when, why, yes, no. Not why.
Yeah.
Why is easier. Yes, no.
Take
Those are
timelines.
the questions that I think we're stuttering. We're too eager to know yes, no. When will it happen? Like though it doesn't need we don't need all that.
No, when it aligns, it will happen. That's
Yeah.
my new attitude. When it aligns, it'll happen. Doesn't mean it's gonna be next week. Because if you don't do your work,
Will you be ready to even receive it when it happens?
exactly. And like collectively, there's a lot happening in the world right now. And
They're not ready. They are not ready.
but like 2 years ago,
We've been working hard though.
we
I think
have.
you guys have been working hard who are listening too.
Um, 2 years ago, we
Five,
couldn't
five,
handle
five.
some of the info we get. Look at
Yeah.
that. Oh, it says 6 now, but I get it. But you
It
know what I
was
mean?
quite effective.
Think about like going from COVID to now collectively, like we can handle so much more. That there's so much people aren't afraid to speak up anymore. There was a period of time where people were afraid to speak up. So we're definitely integrating and changing. And I do feel that collectively the vibration is getting really loud and strong and good. High, high, high.
Yes.
So,
Well, let's get into a little bit of the story you want to share with us, Suzanne.
so I want to share a little bit because I wanted to have a little ghostly story. Um, and I don't know if I shared this before. My experience at the Mount Washington Hotel in New Hampshire. It's in Bretton Woods. And it's back to maybe 2010. I went there for a ski weekend with my family. And I was very, very drawn to this huge Brettonwood. The Mount Washington Hotel is one of these big, old, grand hotels. You know, there's like a dozen of them in the United States. Most of them were built by like a Rockefeller or some railroad millionaire. This one was built by, I forget his name. Her name was Carolyn Stickney. I want to say his name was William, but I'm not sure. Um, he was a railroad guy, and that's where he made all his money. And then he met her. They met in Littleton, New Hampshire. She was from Waltham, Massachusetts. She was a merchant's daughter, so not very,
Mm.
and he was much older than her. And they fell in love. He was madly in love with her. And they had a place in New York on like Fifth Avenue. Was it Fifth Avenue? Yeah, no, it's like East. I have it. I actually have the address. There's nothing there now. It's like a big high-rise apartment building, but it was, I don't know if you watched the Gilded Age.
Mm-mm.
What's that? It was during that period. So it was, you know, Rockefellers, who was that other family? You know, if you summered in Newport, in her case, New Hampshire, and then you went back to the city. And so they had this townhouse in Manhattan, and in the summer, he would pack her bed on the train, her bed, she took
Mm.
her bed back every year, every season, and send
If
it.
they had that much money, why didn't they just get two beds?
It's a good
Keep
question.
going though. I'm just like, wait,
That's an
why?
excellent question. Um,
Maybe just to
so
flex that she could.
probably. Um, so he built this grand hotel for her and had all these guys come over from Italy to do the stonework. And it took 3 years.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was a place for them to entertain their friends and have everybody under one roof. And it has a big, beautiful ballroom. And there was a special area in the dining room where she sat and, you know, entertained with her friends at her big table every night. And it took 3 years to build. And as soon as he built it, within that first year, he dies. So now she's a
Mm.
widow. He built her a chapel, which is right off the property. The chapel is all Tiffany glass. It's so beautiful.
Wow.
And then there's all made by Tiffany himself. And then inside the hotel, there's all this Tiffany glass. Um, so the hotel changed hands. It stayed in her family until I think maybe the 60s. They did not have children.
Before he died.
Yeah. She did remarry though, and she remarried a French prince.
Mm.
So I thought, how does a girl
How did
from
she meet
Hampshire
him?
meet a French prince? Well, she's got all these fancy friends. So she went, obviously, to France and met this guy. So she spent a lot of time in France. She turned her house into a hospital during the First World War and came back and forth. And I forget how old she was when she passed. She did pass, but so she had this like really kind of jet setting life that I guess you have to use a boat instead of a plane. And the hotel went into disrepair. And her nephew owned it for a really long time. And then a local group of business people owned it for a really long time. When I went there in 2010, it was still run by locals. And
Oh.
it was a little homespun, if you will. You know, you could tell whoever's running it didn't have a lot of money. There's some weird pictures in there that they're still up there. People are like, oh, is that her? And they're like John Singer Sargent portraits that someone copied. And then there is though portrait of her and her husband, but it's their faces on a John Singer Sargent copy. It's really weird.
They just like printed it out and glued it on.
No, it was painted like somebody copied the Singer Sargent picture, but put her face on it. And
Oh.
I know, and the story. So I'll get to that in a minute because I actually met the artist that did it, and I didn't know it. I was like, yeah, and hello, who did that?
Oh no.
Because psychically, I was looking at them and hearing high school art, high school art, high school art. The guy that did it was a high school art teacher.
Oh my God.
So, and he's a local artist and he's a very good artist, but like it was just you know, a Frankenstein copy of a really great piece of art with these people. It was just weird. So, so we went up there. We went into the hotel with my family when we were there because you have to go see it. It's kind of like the Shining Hotel.
That's what I was thinking when you were talking about it.
Big long hall, big fireplace. A lot of people ask, "Is this the hotel from The Shining?" And then there's a couple outbuildings. There's a smaller hotel that's open only in the summer. There's horse stalls. You can get sleigh rides. It's really beautiful. There's a golf club, and then the skiing is down the street. So we went in, had something to eat, and I remember looking around going, oh, so this would be so nice if somebody could make this nicer. You know, it's a beautiful property. And some girl walked into where we're sitting and just like, it was like a lounge and like made a pass at my husband. Like
While you're there?
right in front of me. And he looked at me and I looked at him and I went, what the fuck was that? And she basically was just, I'm sure just a local call girl looking for a lonely husband, put your wife and kids to bed and come on down, let's have a drink. And so I was like, oh. So when we got back to our condo, I called the front desk and I was like, hey, I think you got hookers in your lobby. Because then I told him what happened. He was horrified. The front desk manager was horrified. So sorry, so sorry. If there's anything I can ever do for you, please call me. So I'm like, okay. Thank you. He was very, very nice. So I go home and I have a friend that's a super psychic. And she said to me, let's go back up there next weekend and call him, see if you can get a discount room. She was writing a book. She's like, I want to do some research on my book on this woman. Let's go. Because I told her all about it. So we went, I called him. He got us a discounted room. It had 2 twin beds in it. And we went. And when we got there was a huge conference do you know the guys from Rhode Island that do ghost hunting?
Probably. Like
Um,
I can imagine. I don't know specifics. Ghost
they
hunters?
no,
I think that guy's LA.
they were having a huge conference. Like it was crazy.
Oh, really?
I looked at her.
And
I'm like,
and specifically because of spiritual energy, they are just
they did a whole episode on the hotel and the ghosts. They actually ended up picking up some residual voice energy. So we walked into that. And as soon as we walked into that, I was like, okay, we're meant to be here. But we're not
well,
going to.
and especially staying at the hotel where they're going to be so activated by that experience if there are ghosts there.
Totally.
Like they're like, who the fuck are this conference crew?
TAPS,
Oh, I don't know them.
Atlantic Paranormal Society. They used to have a house. They used to have a show. I don't know if they still do. But there is an episode about this hotel, and it was the weekend I was there. So we go in and we met with Jeffrey, who was the front desk manager at the time, who's very nice. It was funny because he had a very, very, very high voice. And it like his voice didn't match his physical body. And my friend that was a psychic, she said, all I can see is him. She could see him in period clothing as a woman. She's like with this big, like she had this whole full description, like the ostrich feather and this and that. And she's like,
Mm.
she really felt like we were there. We're the here, Suzanne, to be enlightened about something. So let's go with it. So he gave us a tour of the hotel. He took us to they used to call her the princess because she married a prince, um, Carolyn. And he took us to her room, sat on her bed. That's one of the rooms in the hotel that people really saw a lot of activity if you stayed there. He took us, we did a little hotel on that night. And so the thing that was happening to us, everywhere we went, we like somebody gave something to us, or we had got a discount. So we went to the gift shop and we got a discount on something like we weren't expecting, like something unexpected kept happening to us. We went to dinner that evening in the big ballroom and sat at this, this little table by the window. And when we left, I think it was the next day when we got another tour. Jeffrey told us, oh, this is where her table used to be. This is where she used to sit with her friends. And it was where
Mm.
we sat the night before.
Mm.
And as we went through the halls are really, really wide because when women, their dresses were like big. So that's why one of the reasons why the hallways are so wide.
Oh, interesting. I never thought about that.
That's what my friend told me. And she started channeling. She was acting like we were at dinner and she was acting so not herself. And I was like, and so I figured out, I said, are you channeling? Like she was like a woman from that period, the way she was talking. And it was so interesting. So she said to me, do you think you were her? Do you think you were Carolyn Stickney? Or do you think we were her friends? And I said, I think we were her friends for sure. So that night that I stayed there was really started opening my eyes to like reincarnation and who have I been. So we go back to her room and she said, I can hear the dress ruffling, like the
Mm.
swishing of the fabric. She said, I can hear it. So we go in the room and we are getting ready for bed. And she's like, oh, we need ice. We needed some ice. Oh, no. We went to bed. And I was petrified because I was not the person I am right now. And
You were
I
scared of the spirits?
I was so afraid I was going to see a ghost. I was so afraid to see a ghost. My hair was straight. I put my head under the covers all night. When I woke up in the morning, my hair was curly because I was so hot from me. So we go to bed and I left the TV on. The Graduate was playing, if I recall. And about 3 a.m, I felt like tingling on the top of my head because my crown was sticking out of the covers. That's it. I was under the covers, but only the top of my head stuck out. And I felt like tingling on my head. And right after it's like, it only lasted a second or two. And then I hear, Suzanne, are you awake? And it's my friend. And I'm like, yes. And she goes, did someone just touch you? And I said, yes.
Oh no.
So we turned the light on. She said, I felt as if somebody had like put their hand on her back and leaned over and to look at her over her back. But she said it was in a very loving way. She's like, I think it's her. I think it was her. And she used to tuck her servants in. And we were definitely staying in a servant's quarter, like old servant's quarter bedroom. So we're all hot. So she's like,
Oh, interesting.
let's go get some water. So we get up, we go down the hall, and we get there, there's no ice. So I'm like, where's the ice? So we went back to our room, we called downstairs. We were on like the 3rd floor, 4th floor. And we called downstairs and we're like, can we get some ice? And they're like, oh, ice is on the next floor down or the next floor up, right? It's on every other floor. So we are like, okay. So we go up to the next floor and we leave our room immediately. We go up to the next floor and she's like, okay, we're getting the ice. And I look up at the top of the water bottle machine and there is a bucket of ice. There's a bucket and I pull it down and it's a freshly prepared bucket of ice. Like 30 seconds from the time we called the front desk. I said to her, there's no way somebody got up here and left us this because they didn't know where we were going. They were going up, we are going down because it's every other floor. So like she's touching it. She's like, it hasn't even been sitting here. Like it's fresh. It's not melting it at all. So we were like, okay, this is interesting. So we go back to bed. I don't sleep much, but we get up the next day. So next day we get a little tour from Jeffrey and he wants to take us. We've asked him about like, have you had experiences here? And he goes, no, not really. Just the time. Well, maybe once I was leaving the tower and I was getting into the elevator and I started choking and I couldn't breathe. And I was like, oh, that's not nothing. So he was giving us a little bit tour of the stuff outside of he showed us the downstairs more. That's where we learned about the dining table. And then we went down to one of the other properties that they only open in the summer. And it was this little, beautiful little cottage. It looks like a, Cape style house. And we go in and I physically got to the threshold and I shook my head. No, I said, I'm not going in here.
Mm.
Just something told me no. And again, like I told you, I wasn't that connected like I am now. Something said, do not go in here. So I didn't. She went in. And when she came out, she looked at me and she's like, boy, you made the right decision. There was a lot. She said the energy was, she said, we didn't even get to the basement. And it was, somebody had died in there in like the 30s of like a bowel obstruction. So like it was not a nice death. And things like that. She said there was a lot of Native American energy on the property as well that she was uncomfortable.
They were probably pissed that their home got destroyed.
Right.
Rightfully so.
So she said to Jeff, we were leaving. And it was funny before we left, because I felt really like I needed like a spiritual shower, especially being in that last property because it was just so negative, the energy. And if you do go to the Mount Washington Hotel, do not stay in that little cottage. I don't know what it's called. Just stay at the big hotel. But we did walk around the hotel saying, oh, they should do this. Like I felt like we were her friends checking up on the place, and we're like, they really should do this and they really should do that. And wouldn't this be nice if this was like that? And it was like that. So we leave. And right before we left, we went and stopped at the chapel. We didn't go in it. We just kind of drove to it. And it's so beautiful. And off we go. But she did say to Jeff, there was a tour that night for the TAPS people. And they were going to go into that little cottage. And she said to him,
Maybe don't.
she said, if you must, you need to be the person to conduct the tour. Don't have anybody do it. You're so connected to this hotel. And he was connected with like, his grandmother was like a white witch. There was a lot of connection there. So she's like, I don't think anybody should do it but you. So he said, okay. And off we go. And about a week later, I decided to send him an email because I wanted to know if anything happened. Like, how was your
The
tour?
ghost tour, yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because like the last month, as long ago as it was, like I still have the email that I sent him and that he sent me back. And I asked him about it. And at first he's like, no, it wasn't, it was really kind of uneventful. But someone did get punched in the face and pushed down the stairs before we left the house. And I'm like, this is a little uneventful. And he said she checked out with a black eye.
Oh,
She was
wow.
by something that,
They
yeah,
didn't want her there.
no. So I thought that was interesting. But so about a year later, maybe I went back and this friend of mine was there with her family as well. And the Omni had taken over the management of it and they had redone like so much. And everything that we had looked at and said they should do this, wouldn't it be nice? It was this, it was all done.
Oh, wow.
Everything was done. And in the lobby was this artist doing little portraits for people. And I said to him, why don't you do a proper portrait of the Stickneys? Because whoever did that one, like that, or I said, because the ones they have over there are really not proper, those are copies of copies. And it was the guy that did them.
Oops.
Sorry,
Sorry.
but it was the truth. It was the
But
truth.
they wanted you to say that, she probably was like, make sure they draw me right. Make sure I look good.
100%. That I felt like it was her friend. I was her friend saying,
My
hello.
friend needs to look good in these pictures.
Yeah. Yeah. So that
Um,
after that happened, like, 2 years later or a year later, I get a call from the same psychic friend who says, "Oh, you're going to New York. When you leaving?" And I said, "I'm leaving in like 20 minutes." And she's like, "Oh, well, make sure you go to this gallery." And she literally gave me the address. And she said, and there is a photo exhibit of Jacques Lucret, who is the father of motion photography. And I was with another friend. She said, "You and your friend will find a picture of each other in your past life." And you're laughing. And I found it. And it was crazy because it was not only me and her, it was another person that we each knew. I mean, it was very clearly her. And it was taken in Paris. So it really made me connect the dots. I really believe I was, in that moment, I was like, oh my God, I was her friend. I must have known her from France. And that was 2011. And that's what really got me on my past life journey. And the things I found out since then, my goodness.
yes, that's so interesting.
And we'll
And I
save the
think,
rest for another time.
yeah, we can share a lot more. Suzanne and I spent a lot of time diving into these past lives together. So
Whew.
I feel like we said with the readings and stuff too, it's like we're not always meant to know things, but it's like these are the moments where we are meant to know. It's like you're being drawn there at the right time. You go back, there's a fucking ghost convention. Like it's like there's these little moments that really align you to get there at the exact time. You're in the exact space to feel those things. So I truly feel like if we have a spiritual or supernatural experience, like ghosts or seeing something or feeling that confirmation, like that is all like orchestrated for us to understand. Because again, it's like you could have just missed that sign. You just go there, you're at the hotel, you could have just not noticed anything, but you were made aware of all those things to get you onto the path to be able to remember more. And as we remember more, we heal more. And like we've talked about this many times, but and I'm sure I've talked about it on the podcast too, but everything's kind of occurring at the same time. So
Yes.
when we heal these experiences or remember things about our past or connected dots, like you say, which I like, that activates something for us, releases something for us, that helps us now. So when we can let go, that often is making more space for us to actually embody like who we are now and not be
Mhm.
just like holding on to all those aspects of ourselves that we don't need right now.
Yeah. And when you understand who you were, it really helps you understand who you are. And then as you become more embodied and, when you heal and you become your more authentic self, it helps you, it's really understand who you are to become some ways,
Yeah, I think it's like sometimes easier to understand truths, about ourselves
Yeah.
through that lens of the past version of ourselves, because sometimes it's hard for us to see how we, the more not positive things about ourselves. It's like if we see it from that other perspective, sometimes it's easier to heal rather than how we're doing it now, you know?
Forgiveness is the biggest piece.
Yeah.
It's so big. I never really understood what forgiveness was for a really long time. I have it hanging in my Reiki room. I don't know
Mm.
if you can see it.
We
That
can't, but we can feel it.
my boss from many years ago made that, and after he passed, I was given that to him.
Oh, that's
I was given
beautiful.
that. It's not like he left it for me, just somebody had
Yeah, it's still
something.
nice though.
Yeah, when I remember the day I hung that here, and I said, I know what it means, but I didn't feel like I embodied what it meant. And I was like, I know it's up there because he's reminding me.
Mm.
Hmm. And I love this because it says forgiveness, forgiveness. And I like the way it looks like that because it breaks it down a little bit.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
again, forgiveness it's an act, but it's also a feeling.
yeah. And if we can't, like we said earlier, if we can't actually feel it, then it's not, there's no meaning behind it when we act those things. It is acting, it's not embodied. So we want to be able to feel what we're actually experiencing, which is not easy at all. It's taken both of us a long time to begin to do those things. So
Yeah. And we
it's
need
not
to do
like
this.
that's simple.
We need to do that for ourselves first. We always try
Yes.
to do it for others first. Everything we do everything we do. We just, even as a society, we try to do for others before we do it for ourselves. And if we do it the other way, all the rest comes. That's
Yes.
what's so important. Like, forgive yourself first, and it's so much easier to forgive others because you automatically do once it's like a domino effect. But that's why we're here, to learn it, right? We don't know, we
Yeah.
don't come into this life knowing all that. We have to learn it. That's why we.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
shall we move to another board?
Yes, thank you so much for sharing. And I think also the reminder to people that it's like in that moment you were scared, but the more you open your eyes to spirit, you saw how there's nothing to truly be scared of. Sometimes there's sad energies or energies that don't want to interfere with us, but it's not fearful. We just can understand how where we're supposed to go and where we're supposed to not. Like knowing, okay, I don't have the feeling you had, like I'm not supposed to go in there.
Totally.
Like
Listen to that.
trust, yeah, listen, trusting.
Um, Interesting thing that the TAPS guys found out about that hotel was the foundation is granite.
Mm.
So I'm trying to remember. Their conclusion was that because they captured a voice, and they think it was hers. I do too. But it was what they called residual energy, and granite holds a lot of energy, and there's so much granite in that hotel and on the property that it's on. So that might be a lot of the reason why there is so much activity there. Another time, that same weekend I went back with my kids, I was laying in bed that morning, and we had like two beds in the room, and my kids were in one bed, and my little one, Andrew, um, he and I both got our toes grabbed that morning.
Mm.
The physical of a ghost is kind of crazy. That's happened to me a lot.
It
But
is kind of crazy.
I think said this last year. Fear of like love, like my fear is always manifested as Michael Myers. And it used to pop up like in my Instagram all the time. And because I used to be, like I would say, things like the fear of love, right? You think you're over it. It's like Michael Myers, he's on the ground, you think he's dead, and then he grabs you by the ankle, and he's not. And that's kind of like with love, like you think, I'm not gonna do that again, or whatever you're afraid of, right? And then it comes up again. So I watched a couple Halloween. There's like three new ones since 2018. There's Halloween,
I
Halloween,
watched whatever the last one was, but
Halloween
remember.
Kills, Halloween Ends. I only watched the first two. I have one more to watch. But I came to the conclusion that's very violent. I'm like, come on, like it's not even like the good, like juicy horror stuff of the 80s that we love so much, where you don't really see all the blood and the guts. That's part of it.
Yeah, it's a little too like CGI now.
So I looked at this one with my new eyes and realized, first of all, I have not seen, other than making myself watch Michael Myers, it really hasn't popped up in my Instagram this October, which I think is really bizarre. Bizarre. He represents the ego because you can't kill the fucking ego. And when you think it's
Mm.
dead, it will sit
There's
up and
something
grab
else
it by
that's
the
gonna
ankle,
trigger it.
right? So
Yes.
I think he's a metaphor for the ego. And I'm watching all these people trying to kill him. And they knock him down and he gets right up again. But what do you have to do to keep that down is what's really important. The things that you
Yeah.
do.
And the
So
healthy aspect of the ego, protects us, but then when we listen to only that, then that's where we get into trouble.
right. So much fear that
Yeah.
monster created, right? So much for so long. And people have to like let it go and not look at it the same. It's like when Freddy Krueger, remember the end of the first one? She's like, "You're not real. You're not real." It's
Yeah.
only mind is so powerful. We need to remember that.
It is really a tool that it's easy to not trust your own, thoughts. So I think sometimes people don't, they're not, it's hard for them to listen to themselves.
Right. So if we shift though, right, and get out of the fear-based thought and get into more
Yes.
positive love-based, think of
Gratitude.
imagine what we can make happen.
Gratitude.
Yes. So I'm really curious to see what kind of message we get from the board tonight.
Amazing. Thank
So
you.
you're welcome. Now you got this
We got
guy.
the Mystic Eye.
You remember the name. All right. Can you see anything on that or enough?
I can see it is upside down. So maybe we want to do it the other way.
Hold on.
Yes. If it can stay there, that's perfect.
I can do it over. Yeah. How's that like?
Wherever, that looks great. So we're looking at a beautiful Mystic Eye board for those listening.
I got it on eBay a long time ago. I don't think you can get them anymore. It was mysticgame.net.
Oh,
It's Canadian for entertainment purposes only and not recommended for children under 6.
no divination for children under 6.
Yeah. So we're gonna do a collective. Look at that. We're gonna do a
Mm.
collective message. Yes. Yeah, it's a big fat yes.
They're like, you guys are ready for the message now.
Um, okay. So we're just gonna ask a general, we're just gonna have the board give us a message, correct?
Yeah. Let's
Okay.
just have spirit guide the way. Yeah, and with this tool, Suzanne's using a pendulum. That's how this board works. So it's not like a Ouija board, but it's the same kind of thing. Spirit's moving the energy behind the object, which is the pendulum.
Can we ask you a question this evening? Could you just please give the collective a message general message that everyone needs to hear. Okay. You give me first letter? First letter, please.
Should I get, wait, where did I get a piece of paper?
S. Is that correct? S? All right. Next letter. H. H, is that correct? SH. Next letter. I'm not clear on that. Sorry, SH and next letter, please. I. SHI. Okay. SHI, next letter, please.
Is it gonna be shit?
It's shit. Okay. Shit.
Shit what? Well, like shit? We're in for shit?
I know what the word's gonna be. For next letter, please. H. Next letter, please. A. Look, it's just going. P. Next letter. P. E. Look how it's just going.
Wow.
Okay. You
Yeah,
saying
now
shit
it's gonna,
happens?
shit happens.
Is there more words to this message? Oh, that's so bizarre.
Maybe it's like, like just be open, like you're saying. Like sometimes things are,
Look at
we,
look at it as you talk. Look at
he says no. He
no,
says
he's saying
fuck up.
yes.
Oh, he's saying yes. Sometimes things, well, I lost my train of thought, but
Like
thank you for the
roll with it. Just
confirmation.
roll with
Yeah, roll.
it. Okay. All right, I'm gonna stop that.
Spirit says shit happens, y'all. Shit happens.
It's funny and cheeky for Halloween. Do you have any other words for us this evening? Okay. First letter. I knew it. Love.
Love.
There's a word that red stripe says love. It has a heart on it. Anything else?
Like it's like they're saying shit happens, stay in love. Like stay in that vibration, like you were saying earlier. Is that right, you
Um,
guys? Who is that sunny days?
the oh, pivot. Is there more?
What
Pivot.
was it?
Pivot.
Pivot.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. Very grateful.
Is that our message, or are they saying pivot
Yeah.
to a different train of thought?
When shit happens, pivot.
I see.
Makes sense.
Stay in the love,
Last time we got
sex, or
no, we
like
got
blow
love.
jobs or something.
We got that too. We get thank you, Spirit. Um, didn't we get love? God love you.
Yeah, God and love.
And then John
God loves you.
is it God love you? And John kept saying, I see a triangle. And it says you, God, love. And that's like a
We're in unison. Yeah,
yeah.
we are one. Me, God, and me and God are one.
Shit happens. So pivot.
Pivot. Is
Pivot. I like that.
that for you, Suzanne? That's for all of us.
For all of us. Yeah. Like, you got to pivot because what are you going to do?
And like we said, like, the last few years, or I mean, the last all of the years everyone has lived forever have been crazy, but the last few years, a lot has changed, as we said. So we can stay in that fear forever, or we can just say, what can I focus on that is different? How can I pivot? How can I change? How can I like accept more.
Yeah, because you don't want to repeat cycles,
Yeah.
as someone who repeats cycles. And if you do pivot, I mean, to me, pivot is just kind of, I'm gonna try it a different way.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be completely different. It's just a different perspective.
And it doesn't have to be bad. And that's the thing, like, we have so much fucking fear. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, even when you don't think you do, you know? Like I'm not afraid of a lot of things I used to be afraid of. And some of them are things that like dying, you know? But then there's things that, not that I'm afraid of them, I'm uncomfortable with. I'm uncomfortable when shit happens sometimes.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I would be uncomfortable about. That's how you know it's like a recheck, check in. So pivot,
Yeah.
react differently, do something differently, and then you'll see it completely differently. I really feel that's a big part of the message. And
I
then
think so too.
gratitude, gratitude.
Yes.
How about we end things on with a fun Halloween oracle card?
Sounds good to me. I kind of want to pull a card for us too.
Okay. I love these
So
cards.
you go
Oh my.
first.
Okay. These cards are the Halloween Oracle by Stacy DeMarco. I love these cards so much. I haven't had them a long time. I think I used them last year. Oh, not clearly.
Was our card.
I'm gonna keep two of them. Yeah, this one's interesting. I love them so much. I've never felt so connected to a deck as I have with this one. It's so interesting too, because it's not an ordinary deck.
For not an ordinary woman.
So this is amazing. And of
What's
course,
our message?
everything aligns with our conversations. The first card is the graveyard.
Hmm.
Unnecessary fear.
Hmm. Taking up space, let it die.
Let it die. I'll read you the real, like the book one, because I do like to, as much as you can, these are very easy to interpret without the book, but there's always like a layer in here that,
I feel like the guidebooks, there's always a little message in there.
yeah. The stones they mark the eternal resting place, yet the spirits they are walking, and they are ready for the chase. Today's modern graveyards are restful places, normally highly manicured and very well set out. Whilst they can be places of profound sadness, few are the creepy Gothic places of old, yet they still hold an undercurrent of fear and seem frightening places. Due to countless stories of haunted graveyards, the thought of walking through cemeteries evokes fear in many of us, but not you.
Not us.
We imagine zombies and ghosts rising from the graves and bad spirits hiding out, waiting to harm an unsuspecting living person who walks by. Speak for yourself. The idea of being at a graveyard after dark, or worse, at midnight, is the stuff of dares and nightmares. But this isn't the way with every culture. On the Mexican Day of the Dead, whole families picnic on the graves of their loved ones who have passed. Children play upon the graves. People play music, drink wine, and share food in the company of all the dead. Graveyard dust is used as an ingredient in protective spells, not in curses. Pull this card and know that you fear unnecessarily. Things are not as they seem, and you can overcome your obstacles. Pivot.
Hmm.
The anxieties you have, although real, should be put aside before they haunt you long term. Instead,
Mm.
trust that you know the correct next steps and that you will act upon them. So when shit happens, pivot.
Pivot.
And then
That's
the other
perfect.
card is so interesting. It goes with this. Like, of course, two popped out the way they did.
Ooh, the apple.
It says risk and reward.
Hmm. The knowledge comes at a price.
Take a chance. All right. QRSR. Oh, it's apple. I'm looking in R. Apple. Risk and reward. Sweetest icon, risky red desire. Poison and freedom, tempting hearts afire. Apples have been a symbol of Samhain for a very long time. Apples, when cut in half, have a seed pattern that looks like a pentagram. So the Celts had the fruit to be sacred. Bobbing for apples, a game traditionally played at Halloween, has its origins in the Samhain festival and is one of the oldest associated with this celebration. The traditional way to play is to place 3 or 13 apples into a barrel of water, and the game is to try and bite an apple whilst it floats and bobs in the water. Hands must not be used, and people often compete with each other, bobbing at the same time. It is believed that the Romans brought the custom to Britain, and there are quite a few images recorded through the art of this activity in both cultures. It was said that unmarried women who placed the apple they had bobbed under their pillow would dream of their future husband.
Oh,
In Newfoundland, some parts of Ireland today, Halloween is called Snap Apple Night. Candy apples, apple on the stick covered in toffee, although not quite as popular now as they once were as Halloween fare, are now making a comeback as fun and simple treat to prepare on this night. Apples
those are
have
bomb. Love a caramel apple.
Totally. Apples have been an iconic part of mythos from ancient times to modern. The story of the poison apple in Snow White to the Roman goddess Pomona's magical apple tree to the Christians' tempting fruit in the Garden of Eden. Should you receive this apple in your reading, it's time to look at how risk plays out in your life. Are you hedging your bets and not trying anything new? Do you want change but are not willing to change anything? Are you willing to risk to get a greater reward? Or alternatively, are you risking too much too often?
Mm, wow. Very interesting.
Yes, but I like that they came out together. I'll take a picture of those for you.
Oh, yeah,
Unnecessary
please.
fear, risk and reward. Like to me, that's surrendering your fear, and the universe takes risks on those that
Take risks on
take risks on
themselves.
themselves. So that's how I see that.
That's beautiful.
What'd you
Thank
get?
you. Let's shuffle. So this deck is called Spirit Messages. So I'm just asking if there's any spirits, any energies, angels out there for me and Suzanne, for all of us listening now or later, if they have a message that wants to be heard, that wants to be acknowledged. I'm definitely feeling like the dreams though is very important. Like
Mhm.
that's something we should all focus on right now. And I think the veil is thin all the time if you're open to receive, but there is something about this time of year that it makes it, there's a larger presence of spirit, I think, in our realm. Oh, we have a message. This is for you, Suzanne.
What card?
But
What card is it for you?
this is for you, the card I just pulled out. But this is for anyone listening too. So I was like, maybe I should pull a second card, but if they're saying no, this is for us, but I'm like, this is definitely for you. So these are called Spirit Messages.
Oh,
It's written by John Holland. He's a famous medium. Well, I don't know if he made the art, but
he's from
this is his
Dorchester.
thing. Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I saw him once.
Oh, really? That's cool. So our message, purple. You see, what do you see when in this image? The glare. I'm trying not to get the glare. Can you see it?
No. No, I can see it. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. Oh, the hands.
It's
It's
a,
like
fa- a father's love. A father's love for his son or daughter never dies. The strength gained from such love is often inquantifiable, in that it can be tapped into at any time for whatever reason, whether your father is still here or has passed. A father's love is one of the strongest bonds any of us will ever experience. And I think, obviously not everyone feels that love. Everyone has different dynamics with their father, but it is that divine masculine energy in our lives. But I think, Suzanne, I've given a lot of readings and her dad has come up multiple times. So I think it's interesting that we pulled that card,
I
that
wonder if that was
it's
him.
always with us, and it's releasing those, some of our personal beefs and stuff. Sometimes when people pass, they are healing on their own level. So they might show up differently than they did in our
Oh, that my
life,
father was not the person that he was. It's so
Yeah.
interesting. And he's more like a peer now because I'm older than him.
That's funny. But yeah, so it's
And
like a child holding hands with their dad, and then they're holding hands and there's a flower within a frame.
oh, is it a flower?
Yeah.
See it, and it's almost like That's all I think of. That the video.
Oh yeah, it
You
is
send me
like
a
they're
picture of that.
taking the hand. Yeah. My
Um,
phone's dead, but I will after.
but he shows up on my board. Like I connect with him. I haven't done it in such a long time, and that might be him being like, "Hey, let's chat." I haven't done it in a really long time, but that's the one place that I do connect with him. And I like test him as you because he has to tell me a secret word if I know it's him. So that could have been tonight. And like shit happens, like so could be him.
Yeah, maybe he's helping guide the reading tonight a little bit.
444, maybe. It was good. It was fun.
Yes.
I think we
Well,
walked
thank
away with some good things to think about.
I think so too. And I think, our relationship with our parents, grandparents, all those things are really a storyline that goes through our life again and again. So, like we said, we take on different iterations. So we've probably been connected with, those people in many lifetimes. So we are always kind of healing those dynamics in different ways. But I think when we open up to mediumship, a lot more levels of that can happen because it's not just the conversations that we have, it's like the feelings, the energies, and what we can do. It's like you can connect to someone who died before you even were born, so
Yeah, and we talked about this before we start recording, was what I said to you about reincarnation, right? And me I've been on a huge past life journey, which is directly connected to my healing journey, as is everybody's, whether they realize it or not. Um, we are all energy. And once we leave this body, we change form,
yes.
move into another physical vessel. Like I told you, I think my two cats are the last two cats I had before that. Like it's even the lady that takes care of them was like, these cats are so much like the other two. She's
That's
like, she really has that one really has the Lulu's energy. Like she could see it. And I said, you're right. I think about it all the time. And we are passing through in this current vessel and there'll be others. So when you really see yourself as this eternal energy, it gives you it's given me a much different perspective on things. Helps me through a hard day sometimes. Um, when you have that perspective from that it's a big place to have that perspective from, I think, to see it.
yeah,
But
big
once,
picture.
it makes it almost easier, not harder. So remember that
Yeah, we're evolving.
constantly. And you get it right, I think we get to do something else. So I'm not getting it right this time. I'm not coming.
We're looking forward to the next experience.
I'd like to be Stardust again for a little while before. I come back.
Yeah, maybe get to be something less emotionals.
Yeah. But I guess we're lucky to be here. That's
Yeah.
what word on the street is Earth is like, you're picked to go on Earth.
Yeah, we are elite.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for doing this with me, Suzanne. Thank you all
Thank
for
you.
listening
Fun.
and happy Halloween season.
Thank you so much. Happy Halloween.
Yes, and I'll see you guys next week. And if you want to connect with Suzanne, I'll put her Instagram in the show notes. So we'll see you next time. Bye.